People, what's going on? How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're all doing very, very well. All right, we have to quickly run through this video. The time's 20 to 12. I've just got out of the gym. I've not even had a shower yet, and I need to leave this house latest 25 past 12. Latest. So let's quickly run through it. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I don't know why I'm pointing, but please hit that subscribe button. And don't forget as well to like and share the vids. All right, let's see what there is to talk about. I don't know what there is to talk about, but this is boxing. There's always something to talk about. We'll start with this one. Tyson Fury. I will knock Deontay Wilder spark out. It will be quicker. I just still hope the fight happens. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because of the way in which the last fight fell off. But there's something in the back of my mind telling me this fight still might not happen. It probably will, if I'm honest with you. And fingers crossed it does, because I think it's going to be a cracking fight. I really do. Anything can happen in this fight. Anything. Like, who would have predicted last time out that Tyson Fury was going to stop Deontay Wilder? I certainly didn't. If anything, I would have fought Tyson Fury on points, Deontay Wilder by stoppage. Anything can happen, people. It does feel, though, like it's not a big fight. And it is a big fight. And the reason I say that is because 4 weeks out from a major fight, you kind of get that feeling and the promotion starts ramping up and you start to see behind the scenes stuff. I feel like, unless I've missed it, I feel like I haven't seen anything about it. I really haven't. And it's a good card as well. I think it's the same fights that were supposed to be on the last card. So F.A. Jabba versus Frank Sanchez. What else we got on there? Helenius Kalnaki rematch. So there's a lot on there. And that deserves to be really, put out there and pushed. But maybe, I don't know why it's not being pushed like it. Maybe it doesn't need to be pushed because it is Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Or maybe it will get the push it needs in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe that will happen. Deontay Wilder's doing some craziness, isn't it? I mean, do you see Deontay Wilder in that dirty river, almost like the River Thames, dirty, and he was like shadow boxing in the river, and then he submerged himself in the water, and I was like, dude, don't get sick. Like, what are you doing? Like, do that in a swimming pool. What are you doing? But he looks a bit heavier, does Deontay Wilder as well. A lot heavier, in fact. I wouldn't be shocked if this is his heaviest weight ever coming to the ring. And I feel like this time out of the ring, because he put in a lot of size the second time round, but I think he just wasn't used to walking around at that kind of weight. Now he's used to. I can't wait for it. I really can't. There was talks about me going out there. But it's so difficult to get into America right now. So difficult. I don't know if anyone's tried to get into America. It's not easy anymore. So it's likely that I am going to cover the Liam Smith Anthony Fowler fight for DAZN on the same day. So it's going to be a long night of boxing. And honestly, I can't wait for it. I really, really can't wait. It's a don't blink fight. It really is. And it should be good. It should be good. All right, what's this? Evander Holyfield, Vitor Belfort. That's this weekend, isn't it? What is going on? Like, did you see Evander? And this is not disrespecting Evander Holyfield, by the way, because Evander Holyfield is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Like, definitely a top 10. I'm trying to think of where he is in that top 10, but one of the greatest. But he's 58. Father time waits for no one, let alone someone that's 58 years old. When he was hitting the pads, it was just like, it was the slowest thing I've ever seen in my life. And he wasn't even hitting them. It was missing combinations. It was just, and I'm like, what is this? It's almost like he's just got out of a chair like this, put the pipe down, put the drink down. I'm not trying to say he's a drinker, but you know what I mean? I'm trying to kind of paint that image and said, all right, I'll fight. That's what it looks like. And it's just, this ain't good. This ain't good at all. I think Adam Cattrall tweeted something out, like, I think it was either Nevada or California, removed his license because they thought that he was no longer able to fight. That was 17 years ago. 17 years ago, they're like, they can't fight anymore. I know some will say, yeah, but it's an exhibition. I'm not quite sure if it's headgear. I'm guessing it's not headgear. It'd be bigger gloves, though. But the fact is, he's still fighting. They're still throwing hands. And Vitor Belfort will throw hands. This is no exhibition. This is a real fight. I think it's, 8 rounds, 2 minute a round. This is all madness. I don't blame Evander for doing it because boxers are boxers. They will fight. They will fight until they can't fight no more. And he'll probably make some good money doing it as well. But this is just silly, innit? And you got David Haye fighting his friend. And then Anderson Silva fighting Tito Ortiz in a boxing match. Who is paying this? Like, who's at home thinking, I'm going to watch this shit? No way. No way. Like, That's a case of you wake up in the morning and find clips on YouTube, or unfortunately you find an illegal stream. That's what people are going to do. You're not paying, what is it, $50, $60 for this. If you are, then you need to check yourself. You need to check yourself. By the way, fingers crossed Oscar De La Hoya recovers as well. I was actually a little intrigued though about Oscar De La Hoya versus Vitor Belfort. I was a little intrigued to see how Oscar looked. But obviously he has COVID right now, and we do wish him a speedy recovery. We certainly do. I did want to talk about, in fact, Chris Eubank Jr. This might be a bit of a rant about Chris Eubank Jr. and apologies to anyone that's a big Chris Eubank Jr. fan. I'm that as well, by the way. That's why I'm having a rant right now. What's happened with Chris Eubank Jr.'s career? Like, seriously, what's happened to Chris Eubank? Like, there was a time, it might have been, I'm trying to think who Chris Eubank Jr. fought. I think he's fought Spike O'Sullivan. And I think that might have been an AJ card, and he might have been the undercard. It might have been. Let me have a look, actually. When did he fight Spike? 2015. O2 Arena. Yes, it probably was an AJ card. When he fought Spike, I remember thinking, if you were to have asked me back then, who's going to be that star alongside AJ, like, the guy that's going to do pay-per-views, sell out O2 Arenas, I would have said, Chris Eubank Jr. Not maybe because of his boxing ability, but he has everything, right? He's got that charisma. He's either Marmite. Some really hate him, some really love him. That's where you want to be in boxing. You don't want to be indifferent. Like, indifferent was James DeGale. You want to be where either you're loved or hated, because you know what? If you're hated, they're still going to tune in to see you get knocked out. And I thought, this is perfect. He's obviously got the name. He's got the look. Even the way in which he talks. I like it. He doesn't sell a fight. He doesn't need to sell a fight. The fight's already sold. Back then, I would have said it's going to be Chris Eubank Jr. And I don't know how it hasn't happened. Honestly, some might say, he lost to George Groves. That didn't mean anything. I don't think he lost a step losing to George Groves. I don't. I think George Groves was excellent that night. And I still think you could still rebuild Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. must have had he must have been on, could be wrong here, about 4 or 5 different TV networks. And he's definitely had about 4 or 5 different promoters. Now, something's going on. Like, why you can't stay with a promoter and grow your brand, something's happening. Maybe he knows the business too much, right? Because his dad obviously clearly understands the business. And maybe his dad's kind of maneuvering him, saying, no, not with him. Okay, we've done that with him. Let's move on now. Maybe that's happening. But what it is doing, all that moving around, it's stalling his career. It's stalling his career. I watched a Chris Eubank Jr. interview the other day, and he was talking about Billy Joe Saunders. He mentioned Canelo. He mentioned Golovkin. Honestly, you could have copy and pasted that from 4 years ago, because 4 years ago, he was doing exactly the same thing. And 4 years later, he's not had a fight with any of the guys you wanted to have seen him, whether it be at 160 or 168. And that, for me, is frustrating. That is really frustrating, because I think there is some talent there. Some might laugh and say he's not that guy. I think there's some talent there. I think what he lacks in boxing ability, he makes up for in aggression, punch power, punches and bunches. Like, literally, he's got a lot going for him. But then you look at what he's doing in his career, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, so after the James DeGale fight, which to me, you move on from that, right? You beat James DeGale as a grudge match. Look, we all know that wasn't the James DeGale, right? James DeGale retired after. He was done. But you beat him, you milk it. You have a big fight straight after. You do something. James DeGale was 23rd of February 2019. On the 7th of December 2019, he fought Matt V. Korobov. Remember that? Fight ended in a couple of rounds. Korobov was injured. Again, moved to another promoter, went stateside. And I thought, okay, that stateside move's good, because if he fights Matt V. Korobov and wins, he's going to fight Charlo. Either one. I don't care. 154, Charlo moves up. 168. Anything. Just fight a Charlo. Do something. That didn't happen. Korobov was December 2019. He didn't fight again. He didn't fight again until the 1st of May 2021. That was against Marcus Morrison. Remember that fight? Went all the way. Went the distance with Marcus Morrison. Behind closed doors. Didn't even headline the event. He was just in there, wasn't he? What was he? 3rd or 4th from the top. I don't remember where he was anymore. And I'm like, was it injuries? Like, what was it? What was the reason? Was it contractual? What was the reason? Again, and this is the crazy thing again, another different promotion. And now he's come back and he's fighting Sven Albier, the German, who's 18-1. And I have to be brutally honest with you, and this isn't digging Sven Albier isn't digging him at all. Never heard of him in my life. And the worst thing about Sven Elbia, let's go back 5 fights for Sven Elbia. So even if Sven Elbia was almost this undercover killer, then fair dues. Sven Elbia in 2019 fought a guy that was 7-3. After that, fought a guy who was 8-6. After that, fought a guy who was 4-13. After that, fought a guy who was 61-15. And his last fight was against a guy who was 32-9. This is Chris Eubank Jr., who I thought was going to be a star, is fighting. There are too many guys, too many good opponents at 160 or 168. Chris Eubank Jr. can make both. There's too many. There's too many times you've called out Canelo, Billy Joe, GGG, whoever, and have not fought him to be fighting guys like this. Chris Eubank Jr. is what, 31 now, I believe. Let me just double check. How old is Chris Eubank Jr.? Sorry, peeps. I think he's 31. I just want to double check his age. Chris Eubank Jr. is 31. 31 years of age. It's going to get to a stage where Chris Eubank Jr. is 33 and he's going to look back and think, what have I done? Like, how have I not had a big fight yet? It's crazy. I actually find it crazy. And I feel like it's a waste. I feel like it's a waste. Again, I feel like this is a guy that has all the ingredients to do good things, or maybe had all the ingredients to do big things. I don't know how much people believe in him now. I still believe in him. But this frustrates me. I mean, your last two fights have been Marcus Morris and Sven Elbia. I baffles me. Honestly, baffles me. I'm as you can see, I'm stuttering through it because I'm a bit speechless. And again, all you'll hear with Chris Eubank Jr. is, give me those fights, give me those fights. So he clearly wants them. So what's going on? Is it the promotional companies that can't make him? Is it his management that can't make him? Why is he not in the mix? Why? Demetrius Andrade is struggling to get a top fight. Struggling. Why can't you make Demetrius Andrade? I don't understand. Like, I'll be honest with you, I would have preferred to have seen Liam Williams than this Sven Elbia. If you're not going to fight one of the big names in the States, I don't mind a little domestic dust-up. Have that. But no, nothing. Anyway, that's the rant over. What else are we going to talk about? A bit here from Oscar De La Hoya saying, I really can't wait to get back in the ring, dude. Maybe you shouldn't get back. Maybe, just chill. Maybe we do that. Oh, what's this? Chocolatito is tested positive for COVID. His fight with one Francisco Estrada has been delayed. Oh, fuck yourself. Mate, look at this. Teofimo Lopez, George Cambosos, has been moved again. Now it's October the 4th. This fight has been moved so much, it's incredible. I don't think there's been a fight in history, or at least in the last 20 years, that's been stopped, delayed, started, stopped, delayed than this. Incredible. I don't know how they're even training. Like, mentally, that must be so fucked up where you're training for a date and you're trying to peak for that date and it's like, oh, no, we have to go to another date. And then it's like, okay, let's kind of stop our training, let's bring it down a bit. And then, oh, no, we got a date again. Then you're going again. Fucking hell, man. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. It was the final presser yesterday for Oscar Valdez versus Robson Conceição. How's that fight even happening, peeps? Hey, talk to me, people. Talk to me, my lovely people. How is Oscar Valdez even fighting Robson Conceição? I know how. Commissions, WBC, boxing. That's how boxing. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago maybe even longer, when I did a video about David Haye fighting his friend. And I said, this ain't going to be David Haye's last fight. No way, sorry. If David Haye blasts out his friend, imagine that, by the way, they're friends. And if he knocks out his friend for money, this is what boxing's got to now, where you're fighting your friend. But anyway, if he knocks out his friend, David Haye will have another one. And the thing about David Haye, there are so many people in and around him that I think there are fights there. Tony Bellew's one that always springs to mind. Like, Tony Bellew, I think, for the right money, I think he'd have a crack at David Haye again. Enzo Maccanelli was at Leeds. He was cornering or helping Ebony Bridges. He wants David Haye badly. And I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's a big enough fight. But there are loads of fights for David Haye at cruiserweight or heavyweight with guys that have just about come to the end. That they will do it. Like who? Tony Otava, right? Fights like that, Shannon Briggs. You know, there are loads, and I think Triller will offer him good money, and I can see David Haye having not just one, I can see David Haye having 3 or 4. I really can, if his body can hold up to it, just because we know David Haye, like everyone, likes a pound note, and Triller are clearly paying a lot of pound notes. Oh God. Jorge Masvidal vows to break Paul Brothers' Disney character faces in boxing match for right price. All of us. So what? Jorge Masvidal. Look, anyway, it's money, right? Jorge Masvidal was actually helping Jake Paul, training Jake Paul. Now all of a sudden he's tried to turn heel, knowing he's trying to sell a fight. You don't fool me. But you know what? Go get your money. If they're willing to pay people, go get your money. Do what you need to do. Tony Yoka saying, if you had asked me 5 years ago where I'd be now, it would have been further along than this. Yet stalled. It's been, obviously he had that issue with missing drug tests, so he was out of the ring. Was he banned for a year or something? But regardless, I mean, this was the 2016 Olympic gold medalist. Here we are now, 5 years later, and how he's not in the mix at world title level is beyond me. I mean, Joe Joyce, who got the silver medal, Joe Joyce is maybe a fight away from really being in that top table mix. And if you would have asked me who out of the Olympics would have got there further, I would have said Tony Yoka. So yeah, it's been bad, has been bad. But we'll see what he does next. We'll see. What have we got here? A bit more about Triller and this event. I don't know how Triller doing it. Donald Trump, by the way, is going to be on comms. Donald Trump, former president of the United States of America, is going to be on commentary duty for Evander Holyfield's fight against Vitor Belfort and his son. America is a strange place, you know. Ain't it? America is a strange place, you know, blood. Strange place. All right, we'll end on this bit, actually. Eubank Jr. I spoke about it before, but I didn't know about this. Saunders has no credibility. He must understand that I'm the A side. In what world is, and I know this is funny because I've probably gone a 180 on Chris Eubank Jr. In what world is Chris Eubank Jr. the A side against Billy Joe Saunders? Like, what has he done to suggest that? Billy Joe Saunders was clearly the big B side, but he was the B side in the fight against Canelo, which would have done great numbers for DAZN and was in front of 70,000 people. On the flip side, Chris Eubank Jr. around the same period fought Marcus Morrison in front of nobody and went the distance. How is it because he's coming off a win against Marcus Morrison that he feels he's now the A side against Billy Joe Saunders? You know, I'm done actually. You know, peace and go to work.